Hey guys, welcome back to Laurence McKenna on the LFC channel, where Liverpool have just taken a 3-1 beating at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea really needed a result and Liverpool really needed a few players to just step up. So there's a lot to evaluate in this one. First of all, let's start with, that's right, the satisfaction of walking out, being clapped onto the field at Stamford Bridge in a guard of honour. There is something that's just very satisfying about it, but it does put a bit of a target on your back. And Liverpool certainly had that target from early on. You could tell Chelsea were motivated. It also felt a little bit unusual because the team that was getting the guard of honour wasn't necessarily the team that were the starting 11 for the whole of that time. So it felt a little bit like, they were getting a guard of honour, but, Harvey Elliott, he's contributed. Curtis Jones certainly contributed. And obviously Endo has certainly contributed. But none of those three were the starting 11. And essentially maybe Curtis was for a couple of weeks, but you get what I'm saying. And so ripping out a world-class midfield of Gravenberch, McAllister, and of course Szoboszlai, or Curtis, but Szoboszlai mostly, is going to change the structure of your team. At the same time as bringing in Tsimikas, at the same time as still obviously bringing Jota up front, and overall just changing the whole structure of that side. There is something about, changing the entire structure of that team that is going to change the structure of a game. Do you get what I mean? Anyway, guard of honour, satisfying, especially against a team like Chelsea. Doesn't really matter what the result is after that. Your result is actually happening at the start of the game when you've got people walking out. Your result has already happened. And ultimately, Liverpool, the way that we played in this game, I think is more indicative of a pre-season game than it is of anything else. So fair enough, right? We are still playing in pre-seasons. Or what we're really doing is window shopping. And when I say window shopping, I mean there are people who are window shopping on us and we're window shopping on other people right now. In that what we're basically doing is going, send a couple of scouts to that game? Yeah, cool. Any scouts at this game? Cool. Anyone you want to see? Bring them on. And ultimately, I think that midfield and everything else is there to show, hey, there have been some other quality players in the side. There has been a squad effort this season outside of just that prolific starting 11. And the fact that we're 4 games away from the end of the season and can basically sit our midfield and pretty much coast throughout the game and still play some good football, which I'll talk about in a second, shows how good Liverpool have been this season. This points total, if we just add a couple more points, is a perfectly valid title-winning points total. But the irony is, we don't even need to play for that. We could sit back from here on out, not get any injuries, not have to be competitive, and just chill. Not that that is in the spirit of the game or in the spirit of the league, so I don't think we'll actually get to do that. But if you're going to a Liverpool game between now and the end of the season, maybe you don't expect to see everyone expending themselves out on the field in the way that they did earlier in the season. Fair enough, right? But having said that, I still do think I really enjoyed some of the shapes out on the field. I really enjoyed Liverpool's quick bounce pass. There were a lot of bounce passes today in a lot of different angles. Normally a bounce pass obviously goes, well, not normally, but what we've been used to seeing more recently is a bounce pass that goes up the field, comes straight back, and then is straight back down the field. This time there were vertical and horizontal bounce passes. There were a lot of looks around the corner. There were a lot of that cheeky overlapping run pass, and it certainly worked against Chelsea. It was very effective, it was super effective, in fact. And as good as Chelsea were, I actually never felt like Liverpool got out of second gear and were particularly worried at any point during this game, which A, was satisfying because I think it shows the inherent quality of the system, but also the players within the system. But I think it also shows tactics really do matter, and it can't just be about these individually brilliant moments, Tactics, obviously, Maresca's a tactician himself, but there were a lot of great individual moments in this game. Chelsea were trying to, they've not moved in the PSG direction, but they've certainly got a number of young, talented ballers out there who can isolate a lot of players in one-on-ones and then try and exploit those. Hopefully, come next year, we'll have a new left-back who will probably be in a better position to deal with those one-on-ones. We might even have a new centre-back. We'll talk about our centre-back pairings in just a second, and we'll probably have a new right-back. Trent Alexander-Arnold barely even turned up to this game. In fact, there were a lot of people texting in different groups that I was in during the game. Trent needs to go off. I don't know if that's down to the fact that, maybe there's still a bit of lag on what is going on in the situation around him, or if he's also just been celebrating all week and the scouser in our team deserved, or 2 scouts in our team, deserved a bit of a week off. Either way, I can't really resent him for it. But at the same time, I've got to admit, there is a bit of frustration when we don't beat Chelsea, when we are thinking of the season in its entirety, when there will be lots of people in a couple of years' time and go, well, they only got 80-something points. They only did this. They only managed to get X, and their overall stats were these. Yeah, that's because Liverpool won the league early, bro. But I guarantee 3 or 4 years' time, there will be these summary stats the whole season that's all about Liverpool's XG, all these kind of things that people talk about. And what they will leave out is that Liverpool won the league early. Very early, in fact. Not very early, but like early enough that it sort of like, we did a really good job of getting away from everyone else this season. By the way, the only reason that Liverpool won the league early is A, the fact that we were so prolific early on that got us away from everyone else, but B, the similar part of that, we put so much daylight between us and everyone else, and we put that daylight there, that there was just no need for us to continue to play those. We could have lost 2 or 3, 4 games earlier in the season and still be competing for the title now, just needing 1 more, 2 more wins. Do you know what I mean? That's not really the point, though. Today, we did see a Chelsea side that is improving, but at the same time, a Liverpool side that is experimenting with its shape. Harvey Elliott was out there just jaunting past a couple of guys. I really enjoyed Cody Gakpo's isolation out there of a couple of players. I really enjoyed watching Liverpool's midfield interchange. I thought Jones wasn't quite the racist today. I thought Trent wasn't quite the racist today. I've got to admit, I mean, I think in general in the fan base at the moment, there is a lot of worry around Jarell Quansah. Whether he's long for the club, I don't know. Whether they signed him into a new contract to maybe try and eke some more quality out of the deal and guarantee that if he went somewhere else, he'd be on a good deal. Or maybe it was just we thought we had a really good deal in Jarell, and actually what we want is to be able to offer a couple of these guys somewhere else and just say, Newcastle, what are you doing with your centre backs? Crystal Palace, what are you doing with your centre backs? Bournemouth, what are you doing with your centre backs? We got a guy sitting here who's fantastic, but we want your guy and we want to give him money. We've probably got 2 centre backs that could leave the team in this off season. I think Quansah probably stays, but at the moment, I've got to admit, there are quite a few times where I think he looks like a passive player out on the field. He looks like he doesn't know where he's meant to be positioned. There's multiple times where I enjoy his attacking football, but I equally think he doesn't do anything that feels in a shape of someone who's kind of changing the game to such a degree that I think someone else couldn't do that. And at the same time, I get it. You're exposed because you've got Endo and Jones sitting in front of you. You've probably been partying the week away. Should we really evaluate this? Is this more of like a Manchester United style game where it's like, hey, we're playing for next season, like I said, pre-season style? Or is it that actually throughout the season, I've been serially underwhelmed by a couple of players in this side? It's probably the former, and I don't want it to be the latter. So for now, I think we can afford, and the charitable nature of the game today means that we can sort of say, look, let's see what happens in the off-season. Let's see where your real quality is. Let's see if you can make it through a pre-season. Let's see if Arne Slot still believes in you, wants you as one of his centre-backs. We'll go from there. The other side of that is obviously Virgil van Dijk scored his goal, but really, could Quansah's own goal, because I'm not really criticising the own goal, but could that have been, first of all, could that really have been a Van Dijk fault? And secondly, Quansah, where he was, looked very passive. You can clearly see when the ball bounces back out that Virgil's going to clear it. Should you not be kind of clearing away and look a little more switched on at that point? Probably. I'll talk more about Trent in another video, but at this point, I think a lot of people just feel very sort of passive about his situation. They just feel very kind of disillusioned with what's going on there. I don't really see much point in talking about it. Apart from the fact that obviously we won the title, we can kind of just sit in this position and soak it in. Salah actually played, I thought, quite well. By the way, obviously the Quansah situation for the penalty, sure, cool. They got a penalty late. Really, I was kind of watching the game and thinking, really, we could have played our way back into it. Kind of were playing our way back into it. We really should have scored a little bit earlier and then put a bit more pressure on them with some of our set pieces. I think overall the stats department are going to go back to Liverpool with this one and go, okay, you didn't play your best football, but at the same time, these shapes you're coming up with, these changes, it was treated more like a live training session than anything else. I still really think Jota is a little bit off the pace. I think we're looking at a couple of guys who are basically looking to leave the club in a fit and healthy state, and Liverpool looking to keep them in a fit and healthy state. Nunez basically showed, by the way, when there's no pressure on him, when he's wide open in the middle of the box, and when he has the time and the space, he still can't put the ball in the back of the net. I know it seems harsh. I know it seems critical of a player, maybe even unnecessarily, but we need a guy that people are afraid of when he comes on the field. And if we're looking at signings for next season, my biggest priority is a new striker, mainly because, people are talking about the pressure on Salah. They're talking about the structure of Liverpool next season. If we have a striker up there who can A, string moves together, but B, just put in 5-10 more goals than Nunez has put in this season, it instantly changes the shape of games. There are a couple of times we're looking to finish moves and there are players who are wide open and you're just like, yeah, that's Nunez. Gakpo for me is consistently creating opportunities, consistently creating space. And I think if you just keep pushing that, that's ultimately going to come good. The same goes for Diaz. Like, if Diaz stays, then I'm very happy with that. It's Nunez who I really am disappointed with his output and the quality and the fact that players are not scared of him on the opposition. Of course, there's also the satisfaction of knowing that we're doing this relatively with still a side that has had very few fingerprints from Arne Slot put on it. I know that we had great rebuilds in previous years, and I know that the rebuild of the midfield has been, pretty comprehensive up until this point. But there will be some moves. When people are talking about big summers, a lot of journalists talk about 5 new players coming in, Verge talking about a big summer for Liverpool, lots of other people just talking about the different targets we have. You'll see the ball move forward differently next season. Will be a different prospect, will be a different proposition next year. And the exciting aspect of that is we've been so prolific in this proposition, we don't need to remove any of that. We're adding to it. We're remixing elements of it. We're obviously constantly looking for new ways to exploit the opposition and analysing the way that the game is played right now. But ultimately, Liverpool will finish this season thinking we've got some guys who are great at the fundamentals of the game. And we showed that again today at Chelsea. Alisson is still a prolific one-on-one shot stopper. None of the goals I really think were his mistake. I know there was that moment with Palmer where Palmer kind of slipped it between him and the post. And you know what? Fair enough. I think that was a great piece of world-class quality. Maybe he needs to be a bit close to his post. But ultimately, Alisson is still amazing quality. He looked a little bit worse for wear, possibly like I do right now. Not that I'm hungover or any of those things, but I would say, overall today, give most people a buy, give them a pass. Even the subs, Fede came on. I probably would have wanted to see him start this game. If you're doing it for the fans, he starts this game, but he probably starts an Anfield game relatively soon. I think ultimately Slot will be disappointed by the fact that he's a bit of a perfectionist. He's Dutch. He's all of these different aspects. He's a very competitive personality, which I think a lot of people can relate to. It's not being petty, but they want to finish the season strong, guys. They want to finish on as high a points total as possible. They want to show hey, we were competitive title runners and riders here. We weren't just guys who kind of fell into this. And that's fair enough. Ultimately, I actually think we're finding a lot of good new ball routes today. There were a lot of zippy passing in there. We were analysing the opposition really well, reading the game really well. All of the fundamentals of what you want this Liverpool team to be doing were very much still there. It was just that there were moments where they looked tired. There were moments where they didn't look quite at it. And I can kind of forgive that after probably what is a couple of days off, a little bit of light training, get back into it, stay fit for next season or fit for your transfer, fit for whatever it is. Don't risk too much. Don't go out there and have to fight for everything. You're against a side like Chelsea who ultimately want a Champions League spot. And at the moment, I think I kind of put in one hand on it because they have been really good in recent games. They've also got a lot more to win and lose this season. This Liverpool side, just enjoy it from here, guys. Seriously, just sit back and enjoy the fact that when I'm watching a game, I'm sitting there with my son in one arm, sitting with my daughter in the other. We're just sitting there, now you're going to believe us. Now you're going to believe us. Now you're going to believe us. And they're just enjoying it. I didn't know that as a child. I didn't know that as a kid. I knew my dad, obviously, but I didn't know that as a child because I didn't know what Liverpool's success looked like. These guys grew up with it. And it's fun. It's fun to watch. Enjoy it. We're all being so critical. We're all being so negative. I tried to give you a tactical analysis of this game, even though really broadly, does that really matter? And I'm enjoying what you guys are putting in chats and on Twitter. Any big? I suppose in games like this, what I really want to see is just makes Mo as prolific as possible in this season, so we can really give him those numbers he needs. He was gunning for it. He was very much putting himself in fantastic positions, but I feel like Jota in years. If I'm Mo, I'm feeling very isolated out there on that wing because I don't have a striker that's hooking things up for me right now. I know every now and again you've got a midfield at half's been looking for him, and I really love the way that we switched the ball in maybe one less pass than we were even a couple of months ago now. We know our shape, we know where we can exploit oppositions. That is great. But if I'm Mo, I'm just thinking, how far can I push us? And if I'm Liverpool, I'm probably feeling the same. We wanted to get him that hat-trick last week. We didn't end up getting it for him. We should have got it for him. But for a Nunez overhit pass, I think he gets it. And the same this week, to be honest. I think we should just be putting everything into that guy. But at the moment, what we're really watching is a Liverpool pre-season of us experimenting, having fun, putting people in a shop window. Who do you think put themselves in a good shop window? Who do you think will come in to replace them after that shop window? And ultimately, are you enjoying just, being a little bit hungover? Being a little bit, hey, come on, guys, enjoy it, There's a Discord down there. There is also a Patreon. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll chat to you in a while. Much love.